Um, I teach a class called Hip Hop and Ethics in the city at a high school and a community college. And I was looking for a text to assign the class. And as I looked at the books that were out there, there really weren't any that were coming from a sociological aspect the way I wanted, that would also approach philosophy and theology in I think, a accurate way. And especially deal with the hip hop culture. People a lot of times, they either are outside the culture and so they give it a pass, or they're too in the culture so they can't be critical. And I felt like I was uniquely positioned, being in Christ and being in hip hop, where I could be in the culture, be critical, but still be speaking as a part of the culture, not pointing a finger at the culture. So I wrote it for my class, but then realized that nationwide, even in other countries, I go to other countries and people who are not even African American are using the N-word because they hear it in hip hop, and they don't really understand where it comes from and what the aspects, sociological aspects of it are, what the implications of it are. And I just think it's not that you can't use it per se, but I think there's some very interesting challenges that can be raised with, if you are going to use it, here's what you also have to keep in mind. Just those conversations are worth having. And I'm the type of dude, this is kind of how I fit in cross movement. I'm not really the black and white kind of guy. There's a lot of gray with me, and I'm okay with gray. I'm okay with open-endedness. I just like the discussion and the things that come out of that discussion. So the book was really to raise the discussion, not to put the word, in the trash and never bring it back out. Though I wouldn't mind if that happened. But I think in the conversation is where that happens. So the implications of using the N-word, my gosh. So America likes to believe that it's a classless society. We say we don't have caste, we don't have class. Well, we don't say we don't have class. We talk about the middle class, then we talk about the upper class. But we try to make it seem as if there's this mobility where you can start here and end up here and end up here. But by and large, the way the system is rigged in America, we really do have class in a way that feels more like caste to a lot of people. We can get into the economics of it all, we can get into the sociology of it all, but for this, all I'll talk about is just the history of what happened with Africans in this country and what happened with poor whites in this country. There has been historically effort by quote unquote the well-off, the well-to-do, upper-class whites to pit poor whites and African Americans against each other to keep them in what feels like a caste and not a class system. And what historians have shown is, as long as poor whites can see themselves as better than blacks, they'll allow well-to-do whites to do whatever they want to them, politically, financially, economically, whatever. And I think the N-word has been used to cast African Americans as the lowest, as inhuman. And I think even if whites are not using the word to dehumanize blacks anymore, as long as we keep the word alive, we keep alive this concept that we are at the bottom caste, so that the richest, most intellectual, most affluent African American is still worse than a poor white because he's a nigga. So to me, the implications of using the N-word, even if I'm a rich nigga, I'm a hood nigga, I'm a thug nigga, whatever you are, you're in the bottom caste as long as you're going to apply that word to yourself. So it's not just about, we redeemed it, we mean it in a good way now. It's a term of endearment. That's my name. You're putting yourself in a caste, and you're keeping yourself in a caste as long as you keep that word alive. So book gets into all that. That's probably the most succinct I can give it, but there's a lot involved. I like the fact that, especially for people like, let's say, Bizzle or others who I haven't heard everybody who's using the word. I think Bizzle has sort of matured, I would think, if I'm hearing him correctly, to the point where when he uses certain words, even like Shobaraka when he did it on on Jim Crow. I like when Christian rappers, if they're going to use it, they're going to put the word in somebody else's mouth. You say, you know what I mean? Shobaraka said that the person you call nigga, that's my brother. You know what I mean? He's putting the words in other people's mouths. And I think even Bizzle, when I've heard him do it recently, it's not him saying it, it's him critiquing it, or at least it's him critiquing the sociology behind it. So I don't know, that's sort of my take. But the whole idea of we redeemed it, it's a term of endearment. I always challenge people. I think we're confusing ourselves. there is something good in the concept of, yo, that's my nigga. The good thing about it is the my part, not the nigga part. But here's what's really happening. What you're really saying is, even though you're a nigga, I'll still claim you. You're my nigga. There's something redemptive about that. I'm willing to still claim you. But the fact of the matter is, but you're still a nigga. So I don't think the my nigga really redeems it. All it does is, it's an attempt to show a person that I'll still claim you no matter what. But you can trace that all the way back to slavery, where a black person was worthless until a white person claimed him. Think about the Key and Peele sketch, where you got the two quote unquote slaves on the auction block. Like, I ain't trying to be sold, I ain't trying to be nobody's slave. Then when the slave masters start claiming, I'm gonna buy this one, I'm gonna buy this one, nobody buys Key and Peele, they start feeling some kind of way, like, wait, you want to choose him over me? It's like, the whole idea of, yeah, that's my nigga, you're still a nigga until somebody claims you as their nigga, and then your value went up a little bit. So I still think there's a problem to the whole idea of, yeah, that's my nigga. So, well, I primarily did this for my classes, and it's very interesting in the class to see how, I don't know how explicit I can be in this context, so I won't be, but there's a corresponding word, there's the B word for women. And it's interesting how some of the same arguments that go for why the N-word may be okay and when it's not, same arguments get used with women against men. So there's a lot of interesting conversations I've been having in my classrooms. I haven't really taken it to the public square yet. I got 5 books that I'm actually trying to promote all by myself. So I'm really going to take the next couple months to start promoting my novels, the fiction books. And I got to carve out some time to really promote navigating the N-word. The way I work, this is for anybody who's listening, like, I try to throw myself a pass to catch in the future. So the first book I did, The Death of Hip Hop, Marriage, and Morals, I wrote that in 2009. That's opening doors for me now. Navigating the N-word, I wrote that for the classes I'm teaching now, but saw it as something that's going to bear fruit 5-10 years from now. So I'm not even really promoting that book right now. It's out there. I'll take people's, I'll love the book, da-da-da. If they review it on Amazon, I'll repost that stuff, but I'm not promoting it myself. But I do think, in light of what's happening in the country with Black Lives Matter and Donald Trump, doing as well as he's doing, I do think there's a conversation that I want to have with it, but I have to sculpt it right, and I just don't have the time to do it right now. So all my conversations about the book are in the classroom. I'm not in the public square with that one just yet. So hopefully I will be.